welcome to another episode of Beer for Breakfast ABV. I am Danielle from the morning show on 91X with Marty. As always, I have my beer drinking partner in crime with me, Paul Segura, brewmaster of Karl Strauss.
Aloha!
We are welcoming Tyson with us. Tyson comes from O'Brien's, and it's wet hop season, and we would normally be celebrating Wet Hop Fest at O'Brien's, and we still are, just a little bit different this time around.
We're doing it.
We're doing this.
We're not letting COVID-19 hold us back, baby. Not one bit. And we are,
Tyson, what's going on?
Man, making it work here in these crazy times. I'll tell you what, like, it's been a crazy couple of months. I feel like March was like a year and a half ago.
Right.
I've got a lot more gray hairs in places I didn't know that gray hair grew. But we're making it work, and it's pretty awesome. We have an awesome staff that's helped us pivot. Our landlord's been really cool and let us close off the entrance to our parking lot, so we actually have a bunch of pop-outs leading out from our storefront. So we were one of the lucky ones in this strip mall as well. We already had a little patio, but we were able to increase that with a bunch of pop-ups. And it feels like a beer garden out there, so we're like, well, if it feels like a beer garden, we should probably do a little festival, and we're not going to let Wet Hop Festival. This will be our 18th annual Wet Hop Festival. We can't stop.
Yeah.
Can't stop, man. Whoop, whoop. So,
cheers to that.
Yeah, it's going down. Cheers, you guys.
Should we maybe let some of our listeners or watchers know what Wet Hops are while we're, before we go much further, in case people out there have been living under a rock for like 18 years and don't know what that is?
Totally. Wet hops, man. So wet hop beers probably are some of the most rare beers out there because you only get one shot to make these. These are beers brewed with hops that are harvested and used that same day. So not allowed to dry, still retaining all their juiciness and moisture. Not allowed to be kiln dried or air dried yet. So they're used that day, fresh. It's like using. I talked to a lot of people in this way that it's like cooking with fresh herbs as opposed to dried herb. You need a lot more, but the flavors similar but totally different in the same way. You know what I mean? You get these beautiful nuances and the hop acts in ways that you're really happy it's doing what it's doing, and it's just really special. And we love it. It's something we look forward to every year. It's a killer celebration. Tons of people come through to enjoy taster sets of various beers. More often than not, you're going to see them somewhere in like the golden ale to pale to extra pale IPA, double IPA, that zone. So if you're a hop head, this is definitely going to be the festival for you and the time of year for you. But we love it. It's exciting because, from harvest to harvest, hops can be different. So if a brewery is following their same recipe that they do every year, it might be really similar, but it also there might be an exciting new flavor that the terroir imparted or weather imparted that year, and it makes it cool and fun. And there's definitely beers we look forward to each year. And this year, with Strata being one of the sexiest hops that people want to get their hands all over, there's like a huge amount of Strata that made it into breweries' coolers and beers this year. So it's going to be a pretty Strata-filled festival that we're going to have mid-October, but it's going to be awesome.
Tyson, I love how you're nerding out so hard about hops right now. Like, you're just exuding excitement about wet hop.
If you don't come and party with me, I'm going to be pissed.
Come on, dude. Come on. For real. Come on. What are we drinking first from Nickel Beer Company?
And look at that face. I mean, like, I wouldn't want to fight that guy.
Come on.
I mean, look at that.
Join me for a beer.
I'd much rather hug that guy than fight that guy.
I want that hug so bad right now, bro. Get over here. Soon enough.
I like your analogy of the fresh herbs because I think that's more appropriate. I've always kind of said maybe this is like the Beaujolais Nouveau of the beer world because it happens once a year and you got to get it while it's fresh. But I like the fresh herb analogy better.
Yeah,
I think it's more appropriate.
Brewers also need to keep that in mind when they're brewing it, right? You might use this many pounds, say, 2 pounds per barrel dry hop when you go and dry hop like your favorite double IPA or whatever, right? But wet hops, you're going to have to like triple, quadruple that to get the aroma and flavor you want. And it's, when you're cooking, you might use a tablespoon of dried basil or thyme, but if it's fresh, it's going to be a handful. You know what I mean? Like, to get the flavor and aroma and things that you're looking for, and you're not adding that at the beginning of the recipe of the sauce or whatever you're making. You're adding that at the end so that you can actually maintain all the volatile oils and amazingness that hop's there to contribute.
So, right, so you don't flash off all of the wonderful aromatics and flavors and everything.
Yeah, you don't want to cook all that stuff off, man.
So which hop farm are you, did you actually go out with Tommy Nickel on this one? And
no, so he actually got these brought down from Chico. So these aren't local in the Hook and Mouth Chinook. The Chinook, I believe, usually comes from Star B, but he hooked up with a farm up in Chico. So these got sent overnight, boom, in the kettle the next morning.
So I guess Tommy's got a little bit of, push with some farmers in NorCal. I mean,
he might know someone.
He's been around a little while. He knows a few people, doesn't he?
I think he's got some friends. I think he's got a friend or two. Yeah, he's been around, a little while. He's no rookie.
No.
Yeah, no, not at all. But
Tommy, by the way.
And Tom is one of those guys. He and Brian, I think last year brewed. I want to say they brewed 18 freaking wet hop beers. So he brews.
That's about right.
We'll have to wait for Tom to come on for that one, but it's either 16 to 18, somewhere in there. So they go nuts. They have a ball. We could throw a festival with just nickel wet hop beers alone, So it's awesome though, and they really do some fun investigation and have a great time with it. A notable beer that they did last year, and I'm hoping resurfaces at some point here, is the wet hop table beer that they originally did with Benchmark. So we took table beer. Hey guys, wet hop table beer that they wet hopped, and it was just like awesome to me. You don't see a Belgian single or a Belgian table beer as a wet hop beer very often, so that was really unique. And you can crush a 4%er. You know what I mean? So pretty awesome. But always look forward to the IPAs and double IPAs. Green Truck is one I'm looking forward to. Tom, brew it now. But anyway, Hook and Mouth Chinook, 6.5% Chinook wet hop, delicious.
It's really, really good. So let's just talk Wet Hop Fest in general at O'Brien's. Oh, there's the man himself!
Good timing, kid.
What is up, guys?
Your ears must have been ringing.
Yeah, they've been ringing for 15 minutes. Sorry, I'm a little behind.
It's all good.
Welcome, Tom Nickel, owner from Nickel Beer Company, out there in Julian, making these amazingly beautiful beers. Dude, this beer is awesome.
Is that the Hook and Mouth Chinook?
Yes.
Nice.
Yes,
yeah, I was
sir.
a little worried about wet hop season this year, given that Star B, didn't go into production, and then COVID kept some other people from going into production. So it was kind of a weird thing, and was able to grab some hops from some different areas. We actually ended up doing wet hop beers from 3 different states, which was kind of cool.
Wow.
Yeah, so we got hops. These hops are from Chico, and it's cool. The guy actually, like Sierra Nevada, does the infield distillates. He actually does wet hop distillations, and so they were dry hopped with distilled wet hops.
Wow. No kidding.
Yeah.
It smells like I would never have guessed that or known that. It smells like it's freshly wet hopped. It's got all that same juiciness and all the same aromas and flavors.
No, I love it. To me, it's so great because it has all the piney, citrusy, resiny flavors you want from Chinook, but the wet hop version to me always has like a lot of green peppercorn kind of essence to it. Just like that green peppercorn sauce.
I always get melon from wet hop Chinook too. Like you expect pine and citrus, like Tom said, but then I get this melon hit on the nose like every single time, and green peppercorn pops off too. It's neat. It's something you're not going to get from the dried version of the hop. So there's another reason to enjoy wet hops when you can.
Green peppercorn is kind of a new descriptor for me. I like that. I totally get it. And I totally relate to sort of the unripe honeydew melon thing as well. I've always gotten that from a lot. But this has a nice, rounded, fruity. There's a lot going on with this that I can't quite explain. I've always had kind of, I guess, a grassiness or sort of almost a kale-like flavor with certain over-hopped wet hop beers.
Yeah, a little
Yeah, and I'm not getting that at all with this. This has a really nice, beautiful, like a honeydew melon, like you said, and that green, peppercorn thing. This is extremely well done. I like this a lot.
Cool, thank you. Another fun thing about this beer, no kettle hops whatsoever.
What?
No kettle hops. So we did hops in the mash, and then all of the wet hops are post-boil using the mash tun as a hop back. So there was no kettle hop addition whatsoever.
That's crazy.
Holy crap. All right, so
So for the normal person in the group, what does that mean?
So typically all of your hops would go in the kettle. Some at the beginning for bittering, some at the end for flavor and aroma. Because you have to boil the hops to break down the bittering resins to get them mixed into the beer to be immersed in the liquid. Isomerized is the term for it. But as you boil the hops, you drive off all the flavor and aroma oils. So you have to add them at the end, after the boil or right at the end of the boil, in order to preserve all the very volatile aromatics and flavors.
Okay. Aha.
So this.
Well, whatever you did, Tom, it's good.
This does have, okay, so maybe that's the secret, right? That's maybe where, this whole time people have kind of been extracting a lot of that grassiness and along with the alphas and, stuff like that. I think you're totally onto something here. We're getting all the flavor from the hop without the astringency and the bitterness and all of that. This is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, so I can't remember exactly, but it was like maybe say 5 pounds of Chinook flowers in the mash tun, right at basically at Vorloff. So they set in there for about our 90-minute runoff, and then that transfers over some of those acids that break down in the kettle, so we get a good load of bitterness. And even though our yield on the bitterness from the hops in the mash tun is like maybe 4 or 5%. Because we use like 60 or 70 pounds of them, it almost doesn't matter. You're still getting a good load of bitterness. We figure we're probably still getting, 20, 30 IBUs minimum out of the hops just because of the sheer volume that's in the mash tun. So it's
60 or 70 pounds. 60 or 70 pounds may not sound like a lot to people who don't know, who can't equate that to, I don't know, size, but that's got to be like a couple bales worth of wet.
Yeah, when they're wet, they're still big and fluffy. So it fills. We've got a 300-gallon mash tun, and it sits about half full of hops before we run the beer in there.
Wow.
That's pretty awesome.
Brian and I, there was a point where we were worried whether or not we were actually going to fit all the liquid in there. There was so much like hop matter.
That's so cool. Thank you for sharing that whole experience and what you did with everybody out there, man. I think you just did the world a favor going forward for everybody who plans to do wet hops in the future. This is going to be.
Tom has been like the go-to person. If you're going to do wet hops for your first time, consult Mr. Nickel and then brew your wet hop beer so you don't fuck it up because that shit is expensive. Excuse my language.
He's wet hop. He's a wet hop Sherpa, man. He's like he's to wet.
It's become pretty much our standard now that we've been doing mash hops, no kettle hops, and then the everything in the mash done after the boil, and then we'll try to almost always get a dry hop addition. So in this case, it was the distillate, which we'd never used before. But in other beers, we've vacuum sealed hops. And so we can use vacuum sealed hops. They stay fresh for weeks on end. And then we'll break those open right when we go to brew, right when we go to transfer, and put actually fresh wet hops in the dry hopping addition in the serving tank. So I'm a big believer, if you make an IPA, you make a wet hop IPA, you got to dry hop it. But if you dry hop it with regular hops, then you destroy kind of the essence of it.
Before we move on to our second beer, Tom, I would just kind of like an update. What's going on with Nickel Beer Company out there in Julian? What are operations looking like? I mean, I don't know how close you all are to the Valley Fire going on right now. What's happening?
Thankfully, we're about 30 miles from the fire. So we are covered in smoke, as I'm sure most of San Diego is. It's just kind of a white dome of haze up here, and you can certainly smell the smoke. We're supposedly getting smoke down from the El Dorado fire as well. Right now, we're only open Thursday through Sunday because of the food requirement. So it's been a tough haul trying to keep everything going, but wet hop season, we're like, screw it, we got to brew wet hop beers, and we'll sell them at places like O'Brien's and West Coast, and whoever else will take them. So I wasn't going to not do wet hops just because we weren't open. So
woo!
That's awesome. That is awesome.
We were talking before you got on. I was guesstimating how many you did last year. Was it 16 wet hop?
I think it was the year before. I think 16 was our peak. That's when we did a lot of off-site collabs. So this year we're going to end up doing 8. So, and we did find one grower to do some local hops with, so that was cool. We got some cashmere hops from Michigan.
Oh,
and
cool.
Then we've got hops from Crosby in Oregon. So we got a bunch of fun varietals because we've always only done just local beers. So we got to brew some things we've never brewed with before: Centennial, Strata, Amarillo, and Idaho 7 as wet hops.
Oh my God!
Wow!
So
it's going to be an exciting year.
Yeah, we're actually, the Amarillo will be a double IPA.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to that Amarillo, man. I mean, I'm a fan of Cashmere and Idaho 7 too, but Amarillo's got a special place in my heart. That's got to be.
We did a red IPA with the Cashmere.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Yes! Oh my gosh. I could sit here and keep talking to you about all the beers you're making, but we do have to move on to our second wet hop beer that comes from 5 Suits Brewing, part of O'Brien's Wet Hop Fest. What is this, Tyson?
So we have the WETSUIT from 5 Suits, new brewery, just opened up actually during this whole period of time, which is crazy. But Nick Corona, award-winning home brewer, kicking butt and taking names. Cheers. Salud.
Cheers to Nick. Winner of national homebrewing awards.
Yep.
And an all-around nice guy.
Yeah, Good dude, for sure.
Yeah.
So he brewed a style you don't see very often either in kind of the wet hop realm. He brewed what he's calling like a San Diego Imperial Blonde. So 8%, pretty hefty, but really drinkable. He used all hops grown up at Horse Thief and Alpine. And let me see if I can remember them all. Pacific Gem. No, I'm going to cheat. I got my cheat sheet here. Pacific Gem, Southern Cross, Cascade, Comet, and Chinook, all grown at Horse Thief there in Alpine. He actually made this like a fundraiser beer too for urban surf for kids, which is pretty cool. But yeah, 8% Imperial Blonde, San Diego style.
I've never had a beer like this before.
Yeah,
prior to trying this from 5 Suits, I've never heard of a beer like this before. I've never tried a beer like this before.
Yeah, different for sure. So what I like about it is you get these really nice kind of fruity hop aromas. You get a little earthiness, but you also get yeast character in there too. So it's pretty neat to get like an array of aromas that are kind of complementary to the hops themselves. But again, nice to have some local hops doing their thing in the beer as well. And pretty solid.
Tyson, I hate to put you on the spot, Tyson, but how many wet hot beers are you gonna have at O'Brien's?
Dude, we're loading the taps up, man. We have 28 taps. We're gonna get at it. So we're going to do October 16th through the 18th, that weekend in October. So we'll give time for some of the Northern Hem hops to make their way down here. Some hops will mature at different times of the year, and it's always nice to see a tap list filled with a variety of hops and not just particular strains. So it'll be a lot of fun to fill the board up once again. We have, like I said, our parking lot that is packed with tents now, and it feels like a beer garden out there. We're doing all table service, so you'll get to look at the board and pick and choose what you'd like to enjoy, and it's gonna be awesome. I can't wait.
I will tell you this. I've always been a fan of O'Brien's. It's always been my spot that I really enjoy, whether I'm just sitting there to have a pint or I'm having a full meal. I will honestly say that when all of this stuff happened, I am so impressed with the entire staff at O'Brien's. You guys pivoted to go food and beer right away, and then as things changed, you've continued to pivot to make it work the best that you can. And O'Brien's been one of those places that, as we've gone through all of this stuff, it's one of the places that I feel very safe every time I go there. I feel comfortable there. You guys are really, really doing everything possible to make people feel comfortable and safe, and just want to make sure that you all are aware that you're really doing it.
Thank you so much. We've
Thank you.
Thank
you
really
to the staff for making you feel that way.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, we have a great crew both at O'Brien's and West Coast that we've sat down and made sure that they were going to feel comfortable serving people, and I think with them feeling comfortable serving people, I think that it really helps to help our customers feel that same way, and really our family. You know what I mean? These are two pubs that the people that come there make us feel at home, and we hope that we do the same for them, and it's got to be that way. If it's not that way, I don't want to do it. You know what I mean?
Oh, what a love fest!
Yeah.
We have a relatively new server at O'Brien's, Lizzie.
Yeah.
When did Lizzie start? Did she literally start like in April or May?
Yeah.
So she started in April or May.
At the end of April.
I was in there the other day, and it was the first time I'd ever seen her without a mask.
Oh my God!
It's funny. I looked at her. I was like, "Wow, I know who you are, but like, I literally without the mask, I don't even recognize you because I'd only ever seen her with the mask."
Yeah.
It was a really weird experience to think like, wow, here's somebody who's worked at the pub all of May, all of June, all of July, all of August, and literally it was first week of September, and I finally saw her face.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's funny.
That's awesome.
Like those first couple of months when everyone started wearing masks, it was hard to see who is that walking up, and I feel like I've gotten really good at body language and eyes.
Yeah,
really good. Like, I across the parking lot, I'm like, there's John, Jenny, Jamie, whatever. It's like body language. Certain walks. Yep, there's Paul. I recognize.
Well, who knows?
Yep. I know those shoulders anywhere. So,
Tyson, what is the best way for everybody to keep up with what's going on with O'Brien's?
Social media, we O'Brien's Pub SD for all three: Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We're posting every day what's going on, what's happening, what's hip, and get on our website, o'brienspub.net. And
28 taps?
28 taps, bunch of bottles. Lots of fun stuff. We're pushing through some decent beer, so the tap list is ever changing, and that's how it'll always be, you know.
Excellent.
We'll always find some nickel on tap.
I was gonna say we'll have at least one wet hop beer. We've got our Cascade one coming out next, which was also Chico hops. Then all Centennial beer, which Paul, you'll appreciate the name. We're either gonna call it Thanks Ralph or Thank You Mr. Olson.
I love that.
For Ralph Olson saving Centennial.
Yes. You know what? Cheers to Ralph Olson, man.
Cheers to Ralph Olson, indeed.
He's another mainstay in the craft brewing scene that's been around forever. That's, been supplying the craft beer craft beer brewers all over America with great hops for a couple, 3 decades. And you could call Hop Union back in the day and just spot buy some really good stuff. I mean, it's we all collectively owe both Ralphs.
Ralph and Ralph.
Ralph and Ralph a lot, for giving us the fresh hops and the selection.
So, Paul, are you aware that Ralph Olson literally was black market growing Centennial, and really the only reason that hop exists is because of Ralph?
I was not aware of that.
Danielle, do we have a few minutes to tell a quick story here?
By all means, I'm not going to stop you.
So, all the hops are given an experimental name. So when it was first bred, it was called TFG 1190 or something. It just had letters and numbers. It was just like TFG 1190.
I think it was too fucking good, 1190.
Yeah. And so, Ralph's in the USDA helps with all these breeding programs. And so they're in a room with growers and, buyers and brokers. And they're saying okay, hey, what do you guys think of this hop? And, nobody really speaks up to say much of anything. And as Ralph tells the story, I mean, this is the funniest thing. He raises his hand. He's like, well, I've got a guy down in Chico that owns a bike shop that's buying a lot of this hop. And, of course, that guy down in Chico who owned the bike shop was Ken Grossman, founder of
Oh, my gosh. Sierra Nevada.
And Ken loved the hop.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Oh.
Right in the middle of the story.
No!
All right.
Well, gosh darn it! So now you got to go to Nickel Beer Company to hear the end of the story from Tom Nickel. Oh man, what a way to end beer for breakfast!
So okay, man. So Centennial hops, though, he was going on. Centennial hops have been around for as long as I can remember, and to this day, they're still relevant. They're still beautiful. If you've enjoyed beers like Two Hearted Ale, that's a single hop Centennial beer, and that's a testament to how good this hop variety really is, and why old school guys are like Lee Chase at Blind Lady, constantly using this hop. It's a beautiful hop, and I'll cut to Tom's story. It wouldn't be around if it wasn't for somebody like Ralph Olson growing it, at home for somebody like Ken Grossman, the founder of Sierra Nevada. What an amazing story.
How freaking cool is that?
And with that, the hop drop.
Hop drop, babe.
Tyson, thank you so much for O'Brien's. We are stoked for wet hop season. We love you guys so much. Friday morning, Paul Segura will be on the radio with Marty and I for Beer for Breakfast. We will be drinking these beers at 9:05 on 91X. Thank you so much, and cheers to independently owned craft beer, pubs, and radio in San Diego.
91X.